Hello, romance writers. Welcome back to Write with Heart. I am Jenna Harte, and today we're going to be talking about surviving NaNoWriMo, because if you haven't looked at your calendar, it starts next week. Now, when it comes to preparing for NaNoWriMo, or the challenge we do at Write with Heart called WriteVember, much of October is spent developing a book idea and fleshing it out with characters, settings, and plot. But success at NaNoWriMo or WriteVember doesn't come just from plotting your novel and being prepared to write. Like any other goal you want to achieve, you need to have the time, space, and an environment that supports the goal. So today I want to give you some tips on how to prepare your life for a successful NaNoWriMo in November. First, we are going to start with preparing to write. Here's the thing, it doesn't matter if you've done all that preparation and you know what to write if you do not have the space and time to actually get it done. To succeed at NaNoWriMo, you need to first make time to write. So how much time is that? Well, the NaNoWriMo pace is 1,667 words a day, which can be done in an hour or so if you know what you're going to write when you sit down at your desk. So now you need to think about where you can find an hour or maybe an hour and a half each day to write. And whatever time you come up with where you can find that time, be sure to put it in your schedule. The second thing you need to do is make space to write. Ideally, you want to have a designated area that is set up for writing and is away from distractions where you can go and write each day. Now, in this designated writing area, not only should it have your computer or whatever writing materials you're using, but also anything else you might need, such as notepads, notes, phrasing books, research, inspiring quotes, and anything else you need to help you write. The third thing you need to do to prepare to write is to let your friends and family know that you are getting ready to write 50,000 words in 30 days. Work to enlist their support in your endeavor. Now, as part of this video and post, I have a checklist to help you with NaNoWriMo. And in that checklist, I have an infographic shared from NaNoWriMo on how others can care for their NaNoWriMo writer. You can share this with your family and friends so that they can be a part of helping you achieve your goal. The fourth thing that you can plan in advance is to divvy up the chores and other to-dos in your family for the month of November. Surely just for 1 month, your family can help you with your normal chores. This is also a good month to see if there might be somebody else in the family willing to host Thanksgiving if that's normally your job. And let me just say here that I'm not saying that NaNoWriMo is more important than family. But what I am saying is that if you have this goal, surely your family would want to support you in it. And these are some ways that they can do that. The next thing you can do to get ready for NaNoWriMo is to look at any deadlines that you might have and see if you might be able to extend them. Now, I know this might be a little pie in the sky, but if you have work, school, or other projects that are due in November, maybe you can see if you can extend their due dates so it's one less thing you have to worry about when you're doing NaNoWriMo. The next thing you want to do to prepare for writing in November is to anticipate any distractions that could come up and work to nip them in the bud. Distractions can be a huge problem when attempting NaNoWriMo. So before the writing begins in November, make a list of possible things that could interrupt you and stop you from writing, and make a plan to avoid them or a plan to respond to them in a way that doesn't impede you from writing. Now, for a little fun, check in the description below for a link to a video from NaNoWriMo that covers those pesky nano distractions. The next thing you're going to want to do is, knowing that Thanksgiving is coming, even if you have found somebody else to host it, you might want to write ahead a little bit before the holiday, so if you miss any writing during Thanksgiving, you're not behind. Now, the writing pace for NaNoWriMo, as I already said, is 1,667 words a day, but that is writing for 30 days, which would include Thanksgiving. Now, let's say that you want to take 3 days off around Thanksgiving, and so instead of 30 days, you're going to write in 27 days. That takes your word count up to 1,852 words per day, which is less than an extra 200 words a day. It's only a few minutes more of writing. Another thing you can do, especially if you're traveling, is to make a plan for writing while away. One year, I hand wrote my story around Thanksgiving because I discovered that I can't type in the car, but I can handwrite in the car. And in fact, that year was the first year I won NaNoWriMo. I succeeded at writing the 50,000 words in a month. Now, that was a long, long time ago, and I ended up having to retype all my handwritten notes when I got back from my trip. But now, with AI, you have an option where you can scan your handwritten notes using your phone into Google Drive. That will create a PDF of your handwritten notes, and then you just need to go to your computer, find that PDF in your Google Drive, and open it with Google Docs. And when it opens in Google Docs, all that handwriting will be transcribed into type. Now, depending on the quality of your handwriting, it's likely that the font is going to be really wonky and all different sizes. But all you have to do in Google Docs is select all and then change the font. Then all you have to do is revise and edit. The next thing you can do to prepare for NaNoWriMo in November is to plan your meals ahead of time. If possible, you can assign someone else to do the cooking if that's normally your job. Now, if there's no way around it and you are the designated chef in your home, use your crock pot or Instapot to make cooking less time consuming. Now, as I mentioned, I have a checklist to help you prepare for November or write-vember. And many of the things we went through today are on that checklist. And there's also room for you to add more if your life has other things that you need to prepare for and anticipate taking care of in November. Okay, so you are now all set and ready to start writing in November. Let's talk about some tips on surviving NaNoWriMo in November. Aside from being prepared, the secret to making NaNoWriMo easier is knowing what you're going to write when you sit down at your computer. And the secret to doing that is plotting. The more you plot, the easier and faster you can write without getting stuck or wasting time wondering what to write next. I don't know about you, but for me, it is excruciatingly difficult to sit in the chair to write if I'm drawing a blank on what I should write. So here are my tips for day before writing to-dos. These are tasks that you start doing on October 31st, and you do them every day after you finished your writing session so that you are prepared to write the next day. And here's a special note to pansters out there. I recommend that you do this day before checklist as well. I'm not saying that you have to plot the entire month of November if you do not want to do that. But it really helps the writing go easier and faster if you at least think about what you're going to write the next day when you sit down to write. You want to avoid wasting time staring at the screen, wondering what you're going to type. If you've only given yourself this hour and a half, you want to use it typing up your story. So use the headlight plotting system where you don't know your whole story, but you at least look enough ahead that you can sketch out some notes so tomorrow when you sit down, you know exactly what you're going to write. Okay, so the first thing that you do on the day before you write checklist is to review your plot notes for the chapter or scene that you're planning to write the next day. Make sure that you have enough content there that you will be able to meet your 1,667 word count goal. The next thing you want to do is make any additional notes that might come to you. Maybe you have ideas for dialogue or new action that's going to take place. Now, sometimes while you're writing, you will get ideas for your future writing. When that happens, you're going to want to jot them down in your document, in the comments of your document, in your plot outline, in your notebook, or wherever you keep your notes so that when you're ready to review that day's writing, you have it there easily. You don't want to store this stuff in your head and risk forgetting it. So while you're writing, if you get ideas, be sure you have a way to keep track of them and have them available when you're ready to write those scenes. And the third thing you want to do on your day before writing checklist is check that any research that you need to know to write that next scene is done and that you have the information or data is in your notes or otherwise easily accessible. What you want to avoid is wasting time having to stop writing in order to do research. The goal with this day before to-dos is to have everything that you need to have to write, all your ideas, all the research, you have it ready with you in your notes or your plot prior to writing. And when you sit down to write, it's all there, easy for you to access and use. Okay, so you have done your preparation the day before, and now it's time to sit down and write. So each day at your designated writing time, you're going to go to your designated writing space. Number 2, when you get to your desk, is you're going to turn off your phone and computer notifications. This is a way to avoid distractions. You can also help yourself avoid distractions by keeping your computer browser closed, or better yet, turn off the internet so you can't go online at all. All you can do is open your document and write. And remember, when you go to write, to let your family know that you're writing and you cannot be interrupted. The rule in my house was not to interrupt me unless there was blood or fire. The third thing that you need to do as you sit down to write is review the chapter or scene notes that you prepared for yesterday, including any research data that you also need to include. Another thing that you can do, but this is optional, is read the last chapter or scene you wrote yesterday, which can be helpful getting you back into the vibe of your story. And now that you reviewed all your notes and everybody knows to leave you alone, now it is time to write. And remember, for NaNoWriMo, your goal is to reach 1,667 words a day. Now, over at Write with Heart at Writevember, we allow you to choose what your goal count is, because maybe you're finishing story or maybe you're writing a lead magnet. But we do encourage you to figure out what is your daily word count goal, and that is the goal that you want to meet. Now, if your writing time ends and you have fallen short of your word count, don't freak out. As far as I'm concerned, any words that you get down on the page toward your story are good words. Plus, any word count that you fall short of today, you can make up tomorrow or over the remaining days of the month. And once you finish your writing session, the final thing that you want to do is your day before writing to-dos, which is, again, to plan what you're going to write tomorrow. Now, to help make your writing and life schedule easier during November, I've created another free downloadable planner page that includes areas where you can write down a list of the scenes you plan to write today, what your word count goal is today, what your total word count already is, and you can even put notes for the things that you plan to write tomorrow. And because we're incorporating writing and living, on the left-hand side of the page are spaces that you can use for whatever else you need to plan for the day, whether you have to take the kids somewhere, or you have a meeting, or you have other to-dos that need to get done. There's space for that as well. So your life and writing are all on one page, easy for you to see and review and execute. Now, if you'd like to read a text version of this video, you can do so at writewithheart.com, and I will have links to it in the description down below. And real quickly, there is an easy way that you can organize your NaNoWriMo project with the Romance Author Novel Organizer. Now, this book has tips, worksheets, planners, checklists, and more. Everything you need to take your romance novel idea all the way to a published book, including marketing ideas and plans. This is available in print or as a PDF download, and I will have links to those in the description below. And if you are a romance writer, whether you're brand spanking new to it or you're experienced, I want to invite you over to Write with Heart, a free online community for romance authors. You can set up your own free profile, access a growing library of tools and resources, set up a blog, participate in groups, get weekly tips and industry news. Join us for weekly Zoom calls for support and camaraderie and a whole lot more. All you got to do is visit writewithheart.com, and again, I will have a link to that in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope that you found it valuable in how to organize your life to have a successful NaNoWriMo. If you have other tips or ideas that could help writers have a very successful, joyful, happy, less stressful NaNoWriMo, please mention them in the comments below. I would love to see them. Until next time, this is Jenna Harte wishing you peace, love, and happily ever after.